Bună seara, bună seara! Avem în această emisiune invitată o prințesă, o zeiță, Elena Danaan. Elena, I said that you are a princess, a goddess, and you look like.
Thank you very much, Marvin. Thank you very much. I'm very honored.
It's a very much pleasure for us to have you on our show. I presented your books. We saw that there are in different languages, but we already see that the topic is very, very interesting. And few more words about you, Elena. I will say directly in Romanian. Deci, I said about your works, your books, and your activity. You ended studies in Belle Art in Paris, and then archaeology. So I would like to start our discussion with your experience as archaeologist. So you worked in this field about 20 years. Most of this time you spent it in Egypt. Is it right?
I spent overall 9 years in Egypt, and the rest of the time I've worked for diverse universities, notably in France, most of them. When I worked in Egypt, when I stayed 9 years there, I was working for, at the start, diverse missions. I've been working with for Zahi Hawass very shortly, but it was a work experience, unforgettable. I've been working for the Franco-Egyptian Institute of Archaeology in Cairo. And then I worked in Luxor for 8 years in the Karnak temples. So I became engineer for National Center of Scientific Research in France. And so I got this position of laboratory, in charge of a laboratory at the Karnak mission. So I was in charge of the epigraphy survey, and I was training students and deciding on projects. I did that for 8 years, and parallel to that, I was asked very often, regularly, to work on different missions, such as Dendera, Temple of Hathor, the Valley of the Kings, and the Valley of the Nobles, and a few temples on the west bank of Luxor.
Thank you. I will translate now. Elena, did you notice any unusual things during your researches in Egypt? Because some people, including myself, consider that the official history does not fit with the reality. So, which is your experience in this?
When I got my position of engineer and research, in charge of research, I was very constrained by my employers, the French government, not to go beside the scientific path they wanted, but I discovered something extraordinary about ancient Egypt before I got my position of engineer, when I had my experience in Egypt with Zahi Hawass. So
more precisely, what you said you discovered something extraordinary. Yeah. Please continue to tell us what.
Okay, I don't want to add too much to the translation. If you want me to stop,
but
you tell me. Wait.
one more minute or two, we may continue, so I can handle.
When I was working with Zahi Hawass as a work experience, I was still a student. I was young. He took me under the Sphinx. He liked to show.
Wow.
I was French. I was young. You know, he wants to impress me, bringing me, showing me something. And
Mhm.
he showed me the workers were cleaning. They say they were cleaning the Sphinx, the foundations, because there was a lot of salt eating the stones. So they were cleaning it and repairing it, restoring it, and they found the entrance of a tunnel, a shaft, more exactly, a shaft, um, at the left rear of the Sphinx. So he showed this to me, and there were workers coming out of it with baskets of dirt, and taking the dirt away to other places. And they asked me if I wanted to see inside. So I said, of course. I went inside, but it was very suffocating, narrow, and I felt bad. I had claustrophobia, and they brought me up, so I couldn't go to the end. But I saw the
A
departure.
larger space on that
No,
end?
no, it was a small shaft going very, very steep, very steep.
Oh, so
And
it's
there
a
were
continuation underground.
yes, 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 yes. It
Okay.
was going deep.
Hmm.
Oh, yes, yes. So it was there. There were scaffoldings with wooden beam to hold the dirt,
Hmm.
not to for the shaft to collapse with the people working in it. And there was an electric wire with electric bulbs all the way that they put to have light to work. So, but it was very suffocating because the it was narrow, and you know, it was very hot at that time in Egypt. It's always hot, and the workers working hard, and they sweat, so the air was saturated with human
Sure.
sweat, and it was very difficult for me to breathe. So I I suddenly fainted, nearly fainted, and they pulled me back up.
Hmm. Okay, very interesting. I hope there is a continuation. Did you see what was deeper inside on that tunnel?
I saw that it was enlarging just below me before I felt bad. It was becoming larger, and it was not a masonry, it was carved in the rock. And there it was larger, and there was a sort of like an access to another, to a tunnel. When I
Another
came back,
tunnel.
yes, another tunnel. Uh, Zahi told me there was a room giving access to other tunnels, plural. He didn't say how many. Um, and that's the only thing he said to me. So they knew already what was ahead of this. The thing with Zahi Hawass, he's a very generous person. He's very nice. He's very passionate for ancient Egypt, and he likes to discover by passion the history of Egypt. So he's going to explore and excavate and discover things. But so he announces it because he's very proud. He announces it on Egyptian newspapers. And what we have found is that 1 week or 2 weeks later, he is going to deny it. He said, no, there's nothing, it's fantasy. So we know that there is a power, there was a power behind him that was telling him, no, please deny, withdraw, you know. And that was all the time, all the time.
Very interesting. So these discoveries were not made officially uh, offered to the public.
No.
So what can you, um, if you connect the dots, what can you, what does your intuition say there is under the Sphinx or under the pyramids?
There is an underground network of tunnels and halls and rooms, and that goes very, very far. It's absolutely huge. It's very extended. It even goes to the nearest oasis, the Fayum oasis, where Herodotus, an East ancient Greek historian, just said he went into these undergrounds, and that linked to under the Sphinx. These undergrounds are holes where you have records, where another occasion, I had the occasion to see what was in it, but that was not in my archaeological experience. It was a different time. I believe strongly that the Sphinx is way much older even than the pyramids, because you have traces of water flowing on it, like intensive rain. And recently, a fossil of a shell was discovered that could be dated to the period of the Younger Dryas, 9600 BC, when there was a big flood all over the earth, and the Sphinx was.
Please tell again the period. 900 and
9600 years BC.
Okay, thank you. So it's very fascinating. And regarding the pyramids, Elena, it's very interesting that all over the planet we can find pyramids. In Maya tradition, in South America, in Bosnia-Herzegovina, I'm sure you know, in Antarctica, even on the bottom of the oceans. So who built these pyramids? Because the official history says that the human civilization starts almost 10,000 years ago, when the first monkeys descend from the tree and started to make agriculture and arrows. And then they evolved, and now we are the most advanced civilization ever. This is the official version.
I know.
So who built these pyramids? They are older than 12,000 years ago, at least.
Oh, yes. The Sphinx is older, but the pyramids are. The Sphinx is older than the pyramids, but the pyramids are old enough. They date back to, regarding my information, they date back to at least between, you need to take a range between 25,000 to 9,000 BC. So during this period, there was a world civilization very highly advanced, which the center was in the Atlantic Ocean. We know it by the name of Atlantis, for instance. And these people had colonies all over the earth. They were of extraterrestrial origins, and they had built this civilization and helped humans of Earth to live with them and give them technology. So there was a global civilization, and these people built the pyramids as power generators. They were put at specific points on Earth regarding the electromagnetic grid of the Earth to take the gravity pump wave generated by the Earth and transform it into energy.
Very interesting. There are also pyramids in China covered by earth, and some people believe that they are hills, but they are not hills, they are pyramids. So indeed, it was a global civilization on Earth. And there are still stories and some words remained in all the planet. And for instance, stories that ignorant tell that there are popular stories, but they have esoteric roots and an esoterist, for instance, René Guénon, he connected these stories and he made this observation that they have a common root. And even in our country, in Romania, it seems that the Atlantean civilization came after their continent sink, and they establish a civilization here in Carpathian. And regarding Egypt, I studied that even their historians in Egypt, they consider our civilization appeared suddenly. The pyramids were built, we don't know by who. Even they are saying this.
Yes, that's the classical narrative I've been fed when I was studying archaeology to get my degree. That's what they told me. Oh, it just came out of nowhere. Well, you can't say that. It's impossible, you know. The official, listen to this. The official narrative that is taught to the students in archaeology is that first, there was the Pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara, which was an experimental pyramid with a degree, like a step pyramid. And they experimented with it. And then there's a pyramid in Dashur, which is rhomboidal, a bit broken. And then there is the Giza pyramids, where they achieved the work as perfect. But then we are told, we don't know what happens. Did the architects die? Suddenly they start building them. This is lies. The truth is that first there was the Giza pyramids, and then cataclysms happened. And after the cataclysm, the people went back to live on the earth from the underground or wherever they were, and they started to rebuild civilization. And they wanted to copy the pyramids, build pyramids again, but they didn't know how. That's when you have Djoser pyramid in Saqqara. That's when you have Dashur pyramid, and so on. And they just gave up because they couldn't figure it out.
Absolutely. So, Elena, I saw that you wrote a book about Area 51 because we are talking about uh, underground tunnels and underground bases. And also, I want to ask you about this theory, but it's not just a theory, about hollow Earth. It seems that the Earth is hollow inside, and maybe we can find some connections regarding Shambhala, Agartha. If you can tell us about these two topics, Area 51 and Inner Earth.
Thank you, Marvin. Well, Area 51 is a book I wrote about my conversations with super soldier from Singapore, Stephen Chua. Stephen Chua came to me because he heard I was abducted by aliens, so he wanted to talk to me. And we became friends. We communicate by email, and he told me his story. He worked in Area 51, and he was threatened not to talk. And one day he said to me, listen, I want to go public, and I know you have a YouTube channel, so let's do it. And I was very concerned. But then he insisted, and I understood that he needed to get this out. So I helped him. He told everything he lived in Area 51, all his experience. And 4 days after the broadcast, he was killed.
Amazing.
So that's when I decide to publish our conversations, our private emails, where he tells me a lot of things, and in this book.
Wow, it's shocking. So, Elena, we are very curious to know what this super soldier told you about Area 51.
Yes, so he was, because he had high abilities, his brain could produce gamma brain waves on a higher level than everyone else. Just like Jean-Charles Moyen, they were the same type of abilities. So he was hired to Area 51 for experiment. So he was an experimental plane pilot on F-15 Eagle planes to experience with a retro-engineered extraterrestrial technology, which was driving the plane by thought. A lot of pilots had died because they were injecting them a substance to boost brain waves, but their brain was failing. But not Stephen, because he had this natural ability, so he could fly these planes by thought. And while he was there working on this program, he could see a lot of things there, extraterrestrials working with military. And he could identify 3 types of extraterrestrials. Small little greys, who were like servants, workforce for taller greys. And these taller greys, there were 2 types. There were some types, they were very aggressive and very angry and aggressive and scary looking like. And others were more human, but they were all white. He called them the tall whites, with hair, elongated skull, but these ones were not friendly either. They were working with humans on retro-engineering technology.
Okay, so did you enter? I mean, this Stefan entered in contact with some beneficial AT?
Not really, no.
No.
He just saw something at Area 51 that intrigued him. And this rejoins the testimonies of another whistleblower from Area 51, who is David Adair. What Stephen saw was a ship. He describes it as a shuttle that was alive, like conscious, like an organic being, and as if there was a consciousness inside. And he said you would approach and it would react, move backwards, or you would try to touch it and the skin would retract. And he said he could feel it was, you could communicate with it. It has a consciousness, and it was positive.
Very interesting. I remember Stephen Greer also. He wrote several books, and he said exactly the same thing about some spacecrafts that they were alive. I mean, they can repair themselves and stuff like this. So this is with Area 51. Before go forward to, I am very interested about how we can put some landmarks regarding the contact between humans and ETs. But before this, let's do not abandon this subject with inner Earth, because I don't want to insist about this topic, but there are more and more people that are interested about this theory about flat Earth. For me, this is a stupid theory, because if the Earth is flat, what is on the left, on the right, up and down? So this flat could not exist nowhere. Has to be in a space. So already this theory is falling. But let's see about inner Earth. Is the Earth really empty inside, hollow?
There is it's quite complex to understand. There are a lot of inner Earth spaces where civilization exist. Big cities with high ceiling. The ceilings are so high that you can create. They can create their own light. They can create their own light with. So there are different techniques. They have lighting with plasma lighting. Some others can create these miniature suns with how to say antimatter technology. You have different techniques, but when the thing is, okay, many civilizations in the past who lived on the surface went under the earth, especially when wars and cataclysm happened. I recently went to Turkey, Eastern Turkey last year, and I could visit these cities. On a small area of Cappadocia, you have 200 repertoriated underground city, same as the city of Derinkuyu, which is big in itself. 80 levels. Anyway, so a lot of people went underground as refugees and built their civilizations. Also, there were more ancient people living there as well. There's a lot of different things, you know. The Earth is, as a planet, has a consciousness. It has a soul, like a soul in a human body. In a human body, the deeper you go, the higher the frequency is, because the soul is of a higher frequency. For a planet that has an electromagnetic field, a consciousness can inhabit it and develop, because it has an electromagnetic field. The deeper you go towards the center of the Earth, the higher is the density, the frequency. So comes a moment when it becomes invisible for us. It would become invisible and in another realm of frequency. You know what I mean? So that's why, for instance, Shambhala, where Shambhala is, in our third density plane, surface plane, we would say there's lava. There's nothing there but lava, which is true. But in the higher density plane, it's hollowed. And there are civilizations there. That is why when often you go to inner Earth, you have to pass frequency gates where you enter into a new frequency of vibration of matter, of reality. I'm going to stop here for translation.
Very interesting, Elena, and everything makes sense. I want to say that there are official information. There is, for instance, there is a cave in Africa or South America. It's so huge that there are forests inside, and in that cave, big, large forest and rivers, and it's another world in a world.
Yes.
Okay, so now you said there are gates or frequencies that you need to cross, otherwise you cannot go further. So there are
Yes.
different realities there. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
We have a writer here in Romania, Radu Cinamar. He wrote about these gates of frequencies, and he wrote about some artifacts that were found inside Bucegi Mountains. And we know, all Romanians, we know that American army came here, some special agencies, and they sealed this area. You cannot enter there. Our friend Bruno Mihailescu went there and he made a movie, and there are some entrances that are not very well covered with stones, and there are wires going inside with electricity. So it is obvious that there is something inside. And this writer in Romania, he said there are some kind of consoles with computers, huge consola, and it is a command, something like commander center for some Earth functions. I will translate what I said. So, Elena, if you want to continue with something regarding Shambhala, as I know, Shambhala is a realm inside Earth in an etheric dimension that has the role, the function to coordinate what is going on from thousands of years on Earth. Many thousands of years they were on the surface, about 6,000 years ago. But since Kali Yuga came, they went inside, and they will come again in Satya Yuga.
At the end of the Kali Yuga, yes, the
Yes.
people from inner earth are meant to come out and reveal themselves. And we are touching the end of the Kali Yuga, the period of darkness, as humanity awakens to the reality and connects with higher realms of consciousness. Shambhala, yes, is a very ancient place where very ancient people live, and these people knew the ancient history of Earth. They know everything, they keep the records of humanity and the technology of everyone who has lived on Earth. They are memory keepers of the Earth.
Yes. Elena, I think about Shambhala for the moment it's enough. I look forward to find out about your experiences. I know that since you were very young, you have been abducted, unfortunately, by some Greece, little Greece, but you were saved by some beneficial atheists. So please tell us something about this. But for the Romanian public, they are not used with this kind of information. Um, please give us some details in order to understand that this was a physical experience, not only an imagination.
Yes, thank you. Well, when I was 9 years old, we saw with my grandmother a UFO at the window, and it was glowing orange, and it went very fast and disappeared very fast. The following morning, it was in the newspapers in the town of Marseille in France. I was 9 years old, and during that night, I was woken up in my bedroom by small extraterrestrial, small gray aliens. There were 3 in my rooms, and they took me, and I was by the arms. I was numb. I couldn't talk, no voice. I was half paralyzed, and they lifted me with them in a blue beam of light into a spaceship. It was physical. In this spaceship, they did bad things to me. They put a tracker in my head, in my skull, physically, and they did some experiment in my belly, if you know what I mean. Fortunately, I was rescued in the process by other aliens who teleported on board that ship. I am not dreaming, I'm telling my memories, physical memories, okay? And they saved me. and they were part of a program to save a lot of children.
Sorry, in the same experience, in the same day, they saved you?
Same day, in that ship, they interrupted the experiment of
Mm-hmm.
the Greys on me. So they teleported on board the ship of the Greys. They liberated me. They took me with them on board their ship, and they were all tall, blonde humans. There were 3 men and a woman. They healed me. They took care of me because I was bleeding a lot from my belly. So they cleansed me, they healed me, and they neutralized the tracker in my head. And then they brought me back in my house in the morning. I could see the earth by the window of the ship. When I woke up in the ship, I could see the curvature of the earth, and I went, oh, wow, oh, that's right. I remember now. I've been rescued. I'm in space, and that's the earth. Wow, I was 9. When I came back, they brought me back in my bed, and they disappeared. They teleported back in their ship. But that following morning, so I get out of my bed. There was so much blood in my bed. My bed sheets were soaked in my blood. And so it was horrible. My mother was screaming. They called the doctor. And the doctor said, she is 9 years old. It is not the periods. It is an injury. And on my wrist, there were dots, triangles in the shape of a triangle. And the doctor couldn't say what it is. And I have a medical record of this. I have a medical record. And I was in hospital 2 months. And well, after this, the good, nice ETs who rescued me kept contact. But that's the rest of the story.
So you remained in hospital how long? 2 months?
2 months.
2 months. A lot.
And
Okay, so
and in these 2 months, I remember I have a medical record. They say they are going to induce the period because I don't have it. So then it will disguise my injury as a period. So they started to give me hormones to disguise that it was an injury.
why? In order to have an explanation?
Yes.
Why?
Because
Mm-hmm.
they need to put explanation, and they didn't have one.
So it was an attempt to make quiet. I mean, to not go further with noisy what's going on and things like this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what happened next? So in the years that followed.
After a while, when I recovered from this trauma, in the same year, one of the persons who rescued me, the lady, she teleported physically into my room. Of course, I was scared, but she showed me. She put her hand on my wall and she showed me images. And she actually showed me Area 51. At the time, I didn't know what it was. And she showed me a hanger, a special hanger, and I could match with Stephen Shua what it was and where it was. And the lady, her name was Myra, she told me, you need to inquire about Dr. Jenkins. And she showed me Area 51. When later in my life I told this to Stephen Shua, he said, yes, this hangar, that's where there is a tunnel that goes in the mountain where the tall white ETs live. And he said there was a Dr. Jenkins working at Area 51 in the 1980s when he was there, Stephen Shua, and he was in charge of retro engineering. and he was working with the Vatican. And so that I found that an incredible correlation because it was in the 1980s at the same time that I got this information by this lady beaming in my room. And they kept contact with me all through the years. They were teleporting in my room or teleporting me on the ship and showing me all the commands, and that's been going on all my life. But I kept quiet.
Wow, amazing. I hope our audience will be receptive to this. Elena, did I understood well? Maira took you with her through teleportation on their ship, AT ship?
Yes, physically. Not that night, but another night, because they came regularly. Her and another man of the team, his name was Thorhan. They kept either teleporting in my room or teleporting me on the ship. The most often that happened is that I was taken on board the ship, physically always. And they were showing me all the controls. We became really good friends, showing me the controls, the holographic maps of the galaxy, taking me for flights around the Earth. It was great.
So during this experience, you actually you were missing from home. I mean,
Yes.
your mother, your parents, maybe they wonder, where is Elena?
Sometimes my parents would, my mother especially, or my grandmother, because she was living with us, they would see a big flash of light in my room or a big blast of wind passing under the door, but the window was closed. And they would open the door and I would be standing in the bedroom, feeling a bit dizzy. They could see the flashes of light of the teleportation. And one day, my mother, she saw it in the corridor, because I was beamed on in the bedroom, but in my bedroom, but the door was left open. And my mother was standing in the corridor, staring at me. And she said, "Oh, there was this big blue flash of light, and then you were standing there." And she was very shocked, very shocked.
And you disappeared in front of her eyes?
I appeared in front of her eyes. She didn't see when I disappeared, but she saw. She was there in the corridor in the middle of the night when I was brought back, when I reappeared. And she saw that.
Wow.
She was terrified.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I suppose this kind of experiences were in order of 10s or even more.
It was, yes, it was very intense because emotionally, I was missing the times when I was with them. I wanted to be with them all the time because it was very fun, And so I began to develop a depression because I didn't want to be on Earth. I wanted to be with them. It was so much fun, So it changed my life. And from this moment, I was obsessed by the stars. I started to watch sci-fi movies, and I just wanted to go back with them.
How many times this kind of experiences happened? I mean, in order of 10, 20, 100, more?
Per year, during my childhood and my teenagehood until I became adult, average per year 4 to 6 times per year.
And in recent time?
A lot.
A lot.
There was, when I became adult, I started my studies I went to Paris to study art and then archaeology. And the contact went less and less and less until one day, nothing. And for a few years, there was nothing, because they probably understood that I needed to experience life and take my head out of them. I need to concentrate on my life. So that was the right thing to do, although I was very sad. But one day they took contact with me again. Later, it was in 2018, not so long ago. I was living in Ireland. They teleported me on board their ship. And that night is known, very known in Ireland, is famous in ufology, Irish ufology, as the night of the Shannon incident, where commercial plane pilots, two planes, reported to the control tower that they were seeing UFOs above the area where I was. And I was in one of them, the ships.
Amazing. Okay, so Elena, um, give us a brief information. How did your experience and the knowledge evolve in all these years of contact with the beneficial ATs? And now, what can you tell us about Earth, about history, and about solar system or galactic federation?
Thank you. So from 2018 through to this day, they resume taking me again on board their ship as they were doing before. They didn't really teleported because they estimate that it wasn't very safe. So they rather teleported me on the ship, and I still go regularly. So they are teaching me stuff, and they're giving me messages. They're telling me what is going on in the galaxy, in the solar system, and I decide to pass on this information throughout my books and my YouTube channel, where I give all the information for free. So that's what I've been doing all these years, and visiting different spaceships. So the information is about the liberation of this star system. When they came back in 2018, they said, we are back because something extraordinary is going to happen for Earth. And they were very happy. And they said they were going to have times of changes. In 2018, they told me this. They said, enjoy life as much as you can. Go out with your friend, party, enjoy, because in 2 years' time, I mean, in 2020, you will not be able to do this anymore. And I went, why? This is scary. They said, no, it will pass. It will be temporary. It will be a challenge for humanity. But after that, it's okay. Humanity will wake up. But I advise you to enjoy life before. So I didn't know at the time, it was 2018, that in 2020, we know what happened on the planet with people obliged to stay home. So they say that to me. And so everything they said to me and other things always happened. For instance, my main contact, his name is Thorhan. He says, for instance, tell people to pay attention to Neptune, to the South Pole of Neptune. 2 weeks later, NASA says, oh, this is incredible. The South Pole of Neptune is warming up. Or they would tell me, there's been an earthquake on Mars, well, a Marsquake, so big. And a week or two later, NASA announces that there has been such an earthquake on Mars. They will always give me information that could be verified. So it was interesting. And so the Earth has been liberated from a great evil. This great evil were regressive extraterrestrials, Greys, the same who work in Area 51, for instance, and reptilians also. And that they told me that the Earth was liberated from them. It's a long story with a lot of details, I detail in my book. So, but in big, that's it. And they were here not to save.
Sorry, just a small detail. Since when these bad ATs have been eliminated from Earth?
2021. 2021.
It was a special event on
there was the series of events. There's been a clearing of the undergrounds of the military underground bases that has been going on for a few years already. But then in 2021, it was more or less over. And then the moon was liberated from a presence of gray extraterrestrials. And then Mars, and then different places in the star system. But the thing is, regarding Earth, they cannot come and land and kill all the bad people. They're not doing this because it interferes with our evolution, with our free will. What they did is from the 1950s to now, they've been created.
Just a sec.
Yes.
It is very interesting what you want to say, but please let me translate first.
Yes.
Correlation, Elena. Our common friend Jean-Charles Moyen, he told me in 2 shows that I made with him recently, that he also had this phenomena of teleportation, and he explained how happened when he was 4 years old, and after that it is pretty similar with what happened to you. And I mentioned this thing because I want to help the Romanian audience to understand that this is not something impossible, incredible. And there are actually, I couldn't say many cases, but you are not the only one with these experiences of teleportation. Okay, I want to say, Elena, that actually these bad ITs, ATs, like Little Grey or Reptilians, they are actually the one in control of the secret society on Earth, like Bilderberg, Davos, Freemasonry, and Illuminati, all this stuff. Because many of us, we know there is a shadow government, but we think that it is just these secret societies. But no, they are actually controlled by these ATs. But I want to finish the translation and then please give us some details on this.
Yes.
I just want to tell something that it was a Romanian hacker, and he spoke about he managed to enter in the email of Hillary Clinton, and he discovered information about Solar Warden Fleet. And this is not sci-fi. The shadow government really has this kind of stuff. And I wanted to ask you something about the moon, but there are already many subjects about Freemasonry, about solar warden, and about moon. Let's approach these 3 subjects very briefly. Elena, please tell me if Am I right when I'm saying that these secret societies on Earth, like Bilderberg, Freemasonry, and so on, are actually controlled by this, so were controlled by these bad aliens?
So yes, you are right, I can confirm. And before extending the subject, I forgot, I want to specify a very important detail about teleportation. When I say I was teleported, the aliens teleported me, okay, with technology. I am not able to teleport myself. There's only one person on Earth can do this, is Jean-Charles Moyen. Jean-Charles is the only one who can do it himself, by himself, without technology, and that's unique. So I want to precise it's not the same thing. Okay, so the secret societies, they were created at the origin by ETs, by aliens. You have different factions behind them. The Illuminati were created by a negative faction of Anunnaki. These were very ancient beings. They were the faction of an entity named Enlil and Marduk and Ninurta, were these three. They were behind the Illuminati and the Freemasonry. Okay, it's the same descent. Then you had reptilian extraterrestrials who were behind the Nazis. Okay, and then you have the Greys who are also who were also behind governments, but also they were working closely with dark military programs, especially in America, but other places on Earth as well.
Yes, I will translate. And then you started to tell something about 50s, 1950s, and I interrupted you, and I'm sorry, but now I remember we may continue. Talking about the first contacts, or maybe not the first, because as I know, the Nazis were in contact with aliens since 1930 with Hane, Vril, and all this technology. But before this, I had last week a show Friday with a doctor in United States, Ana Maria Mihalcea, and he explained that this campaign of vaccination, so-called vaccination, was actually an inoculation of humanity with nanotechnology in order to control people through electromagnetic waves, i.e., and 5G and so on.
Yes.
So it was never a virus as SARS-CoV-2, as they pretend, but it was only a psychological operation to convince people to accept the injection, the jab. And it is absolutely horrific that this nanotechnology is transmissible. I mean, if a person which is not vaccinated and get in touch with a person vaccinated, this nanotechnology could transfer in the body of the not unvaccinated person. So it is a very, very advanced technology, far beyond what we learn in schools. And I suppose this technology, malefic technology, came from this bad 80s. What do you think?
Yes, it came from the Greys. Yes.
Yes. Okay, I will translate this and then we go to 1950. Okay, now let's go back to 1950.
Humanity has been contacted by extraterrestrials since the dawn of times, but what concerns us is our actual situation, our actual problems, where they come from. In but there's been contact until 1955. 1954. But in 1954, something very significant happens. The administration of President Dwight Eisenhower is contacted by benevolent, positive extraterrestrials from the Galactic Federation. Okay, why did they make contact? I mean, spaceships landing in an American base, and it is not me inventing. It is, I only repeat the proofs and the evidence that have been put out there. First-hand witnesses, etc.
Phil Schneider, for instance.
Sorry?
Phil Schneider.
Yes, Phil Schneider, absolutely, yes. Why did the Federation contact the government? Because there had been UFO crashes with gray aliens in it. And it's had, like Roswell in 1947, for instance. And this was...
Sorry. As I know, it was a book, I forgot the name of the author. Myself, I wrote a book about this kind of things. And they used Tesla technology with a kind of laser beam, and they could disturb these crafts. And that's why they crashed.
Yes, they could have as well have done this. But the thing is that the ETs that were in this ship were Trojan horses. That was all a setup, because there's a famous book. It's called Alien Interview, from a nurse, Irish nurse, Matilda MacDonald, who was interpreter by telepathy for this surviving small gray alien. And this alien just tells lies after lie after lie after lie. And this was starting to be concerning. So the people from the Galactic Federation of Worlds made contact with the American government and said, they met with President Eisenhower, and they said, listen, you may be in trouble in the future, because there are the gray aliens from the Orion group. They are going to make more serious contact, and they do that on every world they want to assimilate. They will want to make agreements with you. We advise not to accept, because that is going to be really dramatic for everyone on your planet. Instead, we offer you collaboration to build a system of defense with technology, a program of defense to face them. And that is how the collaboration with the US Navy and the Federation started. And that's where we have the Solar Warden fleet that comes on it, that was created as well. There's a very good whistleblower, William Tompkins, who was there and he could testify, working with ETs on this program. But so what happened? 1 year later, the Greys arrived in 1955, and they contacted the governments, and they contacted the Eisenhower administration. And there were first-hand witness who described, like technicians working on the base, that a ship landed, and there was a few of them, but there was one ship in particular where President Eisenhower went inside, and they could see the beings that were coming out, welcoming him inside. There was one tall gray alien, and there was one reptilian alien, and there was very surprising, shocking, one man in a Nazi uniform. And that shocked everyone, because we were in 1955. World War II was over, you know. So that disturbed these witnesses, and they saw President Eisenhower coming out of the ship on the ramp, very angry, and say, like, gesticulating, like, no, no, no. And so what happened is that they tried to make an agreement with him, and he didn't want to. But there was a second meeting where these ETs met with the MJ-12 and passed agreements with them. The exchange was human abduction against technology.
Yes. Very important, everything you say. It is interesting, Elena, that regarding this person in close of Nazis in 1955, it is significant to connect with the expedition of Admiral Richard Byrd in Antarctica.
Yes.
At the end of Second World War, and we know the official story is that he was in lead of the scientific expedition, but it is not credible because this expedition has warcrafts, submarine, am uitat cum zice submarine, și and they were defeated by some crafts seeming like UFOs, deci submarines, chiar așa se zice, submarine. And Admiral Richard Byrd discovered that in the South Pole there were Nazis, and we actually know that during Second World War the Nazis built bases on Antarctica, and they were not completely defeated because they continued to create some structures there. What do you think about this?
Well, yes, it's called the Fourth Reich, and we have also the case of the abduction of Betty and Barney Hills in the US, and they testified that on the ship there were small grays and one Nazi guy wearing. So that's also another testimony. But the Nazis had passed agreements with Reptilian extraterrestrials, the SICAR, and it was at the start of the Second World War, and they helped them with technology. They really were behind the scenes, and all the Honebu technology comes from them. The spaceship with, the 3 balls of torsion fields, the Honebu. And these reptilians had a base in Antarctica. They had a settlement there in underground Antarctica, and they offered, after the end of the Second World War, they offered the Nazis to move to Antarctica with them to develop there a new civilization. And that's what they did. They dropped Hitler because he wasn't serving them anymore, because he was too crazy, and that wasn't good. So they dropped him, and they all moved to Antarctica, New Schwabenland in Antarctica, until they were there until recently in 2021 as well. There's an incredible testimony that I've actually gathered that went around the internet. It's an incredible story. I was contacted by a young man, Frank, who worked in McMurdo Base in Antarctica. He was the postman there, and in 2021, and he said to me This is very strange because there are a lot of American soldiers coming in McMurdo and going to the South Pole. It's unusual. They wouldn't talk to us, and there are a lot of soldiers. A month later, this person contacts me again, and I shared with my Dr. Michael Salah, who is an American doctor in exopolitics. The Frank in McMurdo was telling us that it's incredible. He says there is a mass exodus of German-speaking people, families coming from the South Pole to McMurdo, and they speak only German, and they wouldn't talk to anyone. They are civilians, and they are taking boats to Argentina. And Argentina is known to be another stronghold of Nazism. We know these things. So, and I had correlation at the same time from my ET contact that there had been an operation to get rid of the Fourth Reich reptilians and Nazis in Antarctica and clear the zone.
Wow. I remember, Elena, that a few years ago, some others whistleblowers like Corey Wood, for instance, and they said that it is absolutely amazing how many politicians went to Antarctica. What for? Antarctica is not a place to set political meetings, but still they were going, many of them frequently there. And we may wonder why.
Yes,
And now we have the answer.
yes, I've actually had this information as well. I put in my book, The Cedars. They went to meet with extraterrestrials and to make agreements with them, you know. So these were financial elites, people. They were asked by extraterrestrials to give them the keys of the financial system in order to change it, you know. But they didn't accept the deal. They didn't respect the deal, and things really didn't change. But they were going to meet extraterrestrials, yes.
Maybe this cashless system, CBDS, is connected with this malefic plans.
Possible.
And Davos, you have you own nothing, and you will own nothing, and you will be happy.
Yeah,
Klaus
ridiculous.
Schwab. What do you think? These people from Davos, they want to make this cashless system. They act by their own, or they are controlled by malefic entities.
The malefic ETs have been taken out, so now these people are on their own, and they are panicking, trying to pass now all their agendas very quickly. But because they do like this, people see it. People suddenly realize that something is wrong, and so they are losing power. They do not have the support anymore from their alien overlords. So I like to describe these people, Devos and company, as headless chickens. You know, when you cut the head of a chicken, it runs for a while and then it drops.
Well, good comparison. I said that it is happening very fast mass awakening, and the situation in the world is changing very fast. I
Yes.
was messaging you today, Elena, that in France, Macron dissolved the parliament and he declared in France there are going to be early elections. And why? Because the nationalist movement grew up very fast and Macron lost control. And he hoped that by doing this with dissolving parliament, uh, he will stop this avalanche of changes. But Germany is down, France is down, all the Western system is down. What can I say about Biden? Well, I don't want to talk about this with you. You have much more important things to say, but just a very short connection, clue. Okay, Elena, do you want to continue with this describing of contact with aliens? We started with 1950 and the involvement of Galactic Federation. I would be very interested to find out more.
Well, in 1957, the Galactic Federation sent an emissary, which was Val Thor, in the Pentagon to help these Solar Warden programs to really be, more consistent and take care of supervising what was going on to create a defense for Earth. In the meantime, the Greys, the Orion Grey group. So you had three negative ET powers on Earth. You had the ancient Anunnaki from the Enlil faction that was behind the Illuminati, the Freemasons, etc. But you had the Reptilians with the Nazis, and you had the Greys who were more working with the American governments and the dark faction of the military and in all the underground bases. You had also Reptilian in underground bases, but it was mainly managed by the Orion Greys. So what has been happening for decades, the Greys have been abducting people. Because the deal they made with the MJ-12 in 1955 was that they used a lie, a deception. They said, "Oh, we are you from the future, and we need your bit samples of your DNA to renew our genetics. And in exchange, we will give you technology." So the military-industrial complex went, "Oh, technology. Yes, whatever you want. We give you a few prisoners from Los Alamos." And they said, okay, they signed these agreements. But what happened was they didn't take only, it was about 150 prisoners. They started abducting people every year, millions of people. And they gave a little technology, very few technology, and that's where Area 51 got involved, and Dulce Base as well. And what has been happening is they were creating hybrids, mass-producing hybrids, because they wanted one day to replace us. But they didn't manage, because in 2021, in October 2021, the Galactic Federation destroyed their hive. So they were disconnected.
Their what? Destroyed what?
Their hive. It's a hive. It was a hive consciousness. That means it's like the ants.
Ok, hive. O să rog regia să-mi spună ce înseamnă hive. Da.
Like the bees or the ants.
All right. Yes.
Yes, with the central queen, central consciousness.
Okay,
and
yes.
Like insects, yes.
I remember that I wrote a book. I forgot the name of the author. The book is based on the official documents, and in this book it is said that do not be amazed that in 100 years you are going to see aliens walking on Earth, because the hybridization process is going further and further. And for instance, Elena, this agenda of transhumanism, in which the so-called vaccination is part of,
Yes.
this is their goal to to and exactly this is what Dr. Anna Maria Mihalcea was saying. They want to create a kind of cyborgs, a symbiosis of synthetic technology and organic tissue. And year after year, we became something else than humans. I
Yes,
want
that
to
was.
finish the translation, and then we will continue. I said that this little grey has no individual consciousness. They are controlled by a collective
Yes.
consciousness. And in October 2021, the Galactic Federation destroyed the HIV.
Yes.
And I was saying that yes, they want to create hybrids and this agenda of transhumanism.
Yes, yes, yes.
If you agree.
Yes, I totally confirm. They wanted to first they created this hybridization program, and when the Earth Alliance and the Federation start to get in the way by expelling them, starting to fight them back and expelling them from Earth, they came up with a new plan, which was this alleged virus, to assimilate biologically quicker the humans to their hive, the gray hive. How to do that? Yeah, hybridization wasn't going fast enough. It wasn't enough. So it was a failing plan. So what they did, the purpose was, okay, humans and greys are so different, they have nothing in common. Humans are one individual consciousness, and the greys are hive consciousness. You cannot attune a human to a hive consciousness unless you change his DNA into gray. Then it's possible. That's what they try with the hybridization. They couldn't succeed, and then they decide to inject the mass population with this alien technology that would interface humans, change their DNA, and interface them with the hive. But this never happened because the hive was destroyed.
Very interesting. And I think it is connected with this technology of 5G and artificial intelligence, because actually it was a professor in Pentagon, and he was teaching some lessons for the military, and he said, we are going to control people with 15 minutes areas and orașe de 15 minute. And these people from 15 minutes cities, you know this concept.
Yes.
15 minutes cities, așa. Deci, people from this area are controlled like central computer with artificial intelligence. So this is exactly what you say. And I will translate now. Actually, in the Bible, in the Apocalypse, it is mentioned about the beast.
Yes.
You cannot buy or sell anything unless you have the mark of the beast on your forehead or on hand. This is exactly the artificial intelligence and this hybridization.
Yes. Yes.
I will finish the translation. Al Harari very often said, what is this narrative with free will? No, you don't need free will. God is not on the clouds. We have the cloud, and this is artificial intelligence. You don't need free will. So, where was this hive? How did the Galactic Federation manage to destroy this hive?
This hive was located in the Orion Nebula, and that was the center of it. And how this hive was destroyed, it was hijacked. It was infested. They sent a virus back at it to infect the whole hive and jam all the links and the communications. How did the Galactic Federation did that? How they do that? They captured tall gray aliens. And for the first time, they could be quick enough. It was a very good trap, quick enough to put them in stasis, like, as if they're sleeping in stasis, and get the high frequency connection of their brain and get the frequency key of the hive, and then send a virus to it that infected it and dismantled the queen consciousness, the central consciousness. That's how the hive was vanquished and fell apart.
Wow, very interesting. A very ingenious plan. Okay, let's continue. If you are not tired, Elena, I don't want to exploit you.
A little bit, but
But
the questions
if
are.
you want to stop, no problem. We already have. I'm amazed. It's more than 2.5 hours.
Oh my goodness! Yes, maybe a last question.
Yes, I'm very sorry, Elena. I
Oh
did
no,
not
I'm
realize
having
when this
fun.
time passed.
I'm having
Yes.
fun with you.
Yes, for me things are pretty serious, and it's funny for me that you are funny. Okay, so the last question has to be something as a conclusion. So, where are we now, and what expectations we have for the future?
The future is very hopeful. We need not to listen all the fear narrative from the deep state. It's to turn us away from the future, because we have the power to create our own reality. The future, now that the bad ETs are gone, the deep state is collapsing. All these organizations are collapsing. They make you believe they don't. They still have a little bit of power, okay, but they are collapsing. So in the future, we will start to implement free energy, renewable energy. What's the difference? Free energy, well, renewable is free as well, but I mean, free energy, it's like the Tesla technology. It's energy taken from the ether, from the void. And renewable energies, it's energies from the wind, the sun, the waves, all these things. So this is there, and the earth is going to breathe again and restore. Nature is going to be restored, and the earth will be a cleaner planet. And the cities, because the technology will keep on developing, there will be a lot of floating cities, and a lot of people will live in them to allow the earth to renew, to regenerate. Um, there will be a lot of colonies of humans who will go and live on other planets as well, because humanity will, it's developing, there is more and more people, and it's normal for all civilization to grow in numbers. This is a natural process, and at one point the civilizations, they go into space and they colonize other worlds, and that's already started with Earth. So that's what is going to happen, and because the energy will be free, and the deep state will have collapsed. No more uh, oil cartels, no more, all these things. The producers of food and other supplies for life will not have bills to pay. No electricity bills, no nothing. So the cost of production will be less, very few, very little. So the prices will be so down. It will be incredible. So there will be more people able to afford to eat and buy food than now. And all these things in everyday life is going to change and improve. We are heading towards an amazing, wonderful future.
Sounds good. Elena, I can't stop putting one more question.
Oh,
What
please.
can you tell us about moon? The moon is natural or is artificial? And when did the first moon landing happen? Because we know that the official story with the moon landing in 1969, it was a fake. It was filmed in a studio, but this does not mean that people did not get on the moon, obviously. When did the landing, first moon landing in near future happen? And the moon
Yeah,
is natural or is artificial?
the moon is, I would say, artificial in a way that it is a natural planetoid that has been carved. It's not from here, our star system. It comes from another star system. It's a real natural planetoid, a little planet that has been carved out to transform it into a spaceship. There is a core engine consciousness within the moon. It's a spaceship. So, it's natural, but it's not in the same time. You know what I mean? So it's been
I
brought
understand.
there. Yes. It's been brought there by extraterrestrials.
What kind of
The
extraterrestrial?
the very positive extraterrestrial, the extraterrestrial from Andromeda, the Zenate, they came and they brought this moon here, but this technology was manufactured somewhere else. They brought,
When happened this? When did they brought the moon here?
I don't have the exact date. It was
Not exact, approximately.
approximately about before the Younger Dryas, about these, maybe a bit before. I don't have an exact date. I don't have an
Okay, no
exact.
problem.
Yes,
Mhm.
be able to say.
So
Um,
when did the first moon landing happen?
Humans started to go on the moon. The first humans on the moon, what it was, Nazis. It was it was a Honebu who was there, went there. Actually, in the 1940s, and one also went on Mars, but they crashed there and they all died. But in the moon, they could start, you know, settle there and build something. The gray aliens were already on the moon. So when William Tompkins was actually in the control room during one of the first Apollo missions, and he said he heard everything. And when the guys arrived on the moon, they said, "Oh my goodness, there are alien spaceships above on the crater, and they're all looking at us. They are huge." And William Tompkins heard this, and he saw the image and he drew it. Um, so there were already people there. Regarding the fake moon landing, from my information, they really went there, but they were asked to film a part in studio to reenact because they met with ETs there, you know. So this couldn't be shown, and they had to show something. So they got people to film in studio to complete, you know, the information, to make believe that, you know, all went like this, but it didn't. The extraterrestrial told them, the Greys told them, okay, you can play for a few more missions, but then you are going to stop, otherwise you're going to get in trouble. And they got in trouble, and they stopped the Apollo missions.
Yes, I heard this statement of one of the members of Apollo saying that, my God, there are huge crafts here on the moon.
Yes.
Yes, I really heard this. I remember that one of the Apollo members get there. He said that, what a sound! It sounds like a bell.
Yes.
It is a vibration that keep going several hours.
Yes, yes, because it's hollowed.
It's hollowed, yes.
Yeah.
Deci, okay, Elena, I will stop here. I apologize that I kept you such a long time, but it was absolutely fascinating for me and for our audience.
Well, as I said, I enjoyed very much this exchange and conversation.
Thank you, Elena. For us, it was really a big picture of Earth and surrounding. I am sure that this is just the beginning. There are many other things to say about time traveling. For instance, Jean-Charles Moyen told me that on his teleportation, he was taken on some missions and brought back as nothing happened. And
Yes.
Project Montauk also, they um, made such kind of stories, and they remembered, and they can extract the soul from a human being. There are so many things we need to know. We were kept in such a dark ignorance, and in order to attain a global awakening, we need to find out and to make another paradigm in our thinking.
Yeah.
So, Elena, thank you very much for everything you shared. I hope I did not exploited you too much.
No.
And I hope we will continue uh, in different occasions. Everything you told us was absolutely fascinating and gold information. So,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will translate in a few seconds and we will end. Thank you again, dear Elena Danaan. Peace, love, and light. And we hope, with the help of God, to attain this great awakening. So we end here. Thank you and bless you, dear Elena Danaan.
Thank you.